allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we just remain standing for a moment and remember our men and women in the armed forces and those for the last year and a half that have been affected by COVID. Thank you. All right, public comment on agenda items. New business. You have before you minutes from our regular meeting, which was held on September 20th, 2021. I have a motion to approve.
Approve. I'll second Mr. Howard's motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
That's 2. All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5. Motion passed. Next on the agenda is a resolution that I would like to have our village attorney read. You have the microphone on?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so just to let the community know, one of the trustees asked me to draft a policy for the conduct of public meetings. I believe it was discussed amongst at least some members of the board. I went ahead and did that, and it's being presented to the board tonight for their consideration. Whereas the village board of the Village of Highland Falls welcomes all public comment and takes each and every relevant comment from the residents of Highland Falls seriously. And whereas the village board welcomes public comment from constituents and others in an open and public forum. And whereas in order to facilitate orderly and productive meetings whereby the essential business of the Village of Highland Falls is timely conducted in an efficient manner. And whereas public meetings during which members of the public thereat are provided an adequate but not excessive amount of time to speak on particular agenda item or public issue in a civil manner enhances the conduct of village business. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees enact the following policy for the conduct of public meetings. 1. The mayor, or in his absence, the deputy mayor, shall be the presiding officer of the meeting and shall recognize speakers and yield the floor to them. If the mayor or the deputy mayor is absent, the attending trustees shall appoint a presiding officer for that meeting. 2. Alternatively, the mayor may appoint a presiding officer for all or any one meeting. 3. The presiding officer shall have the authority to end the meeting if either the board or the public fails to follow this policy or becomes unruly. 4. The presiding officer shall have the authority to remove a member of the public if that person fails to obey this policy, fails to follow this policy, becomes unruly and disrupts the meeting, or who insults or belittles anyone. 5. Disruptive, argumentative, abusive, or intolerant conduct by any board member shall likewise not be tolerated. The presiding officer shall have the authority to adjourn the meeting upon motion and vote if such behavior is exhibited. 6. Attendees will not interrupt the mayor or any trustee during their reports. 7. Comments from the public shall be allowed on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting as set forth in the agenda. 8. At the mayor's sole discretion, comments from the public on non-agenda topics may be allowed at the end of the meeting, time permitting. 9. Speakers must step to the front of the room. 10. Speakers must give their name, address, and organization affiliation, if any. 11. Speakers must limit their remarks to 3 minutes. 12. Speakers may not yield any remaining time to another speaker. 13. All remarks must be addressed to the board as a body and not to individual members of the board or to the audience. 14. Speakers will remain civil and courteous at all times. The village board will not tolerate discourteous speakers or speakers who denigrate or otherwise make disparaging comments about anyone, including members of the Board of Trustees. 15, the board will listen to speakers with courtesy and without interruption, and will not engage with speakers for the purpose of rebuttal. 16, the board, in its sole discretion, may respond to specific questions proffered by a speaker, but will not use that as an opportunity to engage in rebuttal or argument. 17, written comments are welcome and will be entered into the record, provided, however, that they do not contain foul or disparaging language of any kind. That is put before the board for its consideration.
Comments?
This may seem a little unusual for some of the people, but when you have people coming up and saying, I really don't want to stand up and speak at a meeting, or I've seen how other people are treated, that's the time that this has been developed. It's called civility. It's coming to America, but not fast enough. I mean, we have now, we're calling each other names because I believe in something and you don't believe in it. That's ridiculous. That's absurdity. People have a right to believe in what they want to believe in. If someone wants to stand up and has an opposing view, they have that right. It's in the Constitution. I read it. It's in the Constitution. People have rights, and this is going to do that. I wanted to take it further, where people won't leave after being disruptive, then you get arrested for disorderly conduct. Now, if that seems harsh, that's okay. I can live with that. So I think this, unfortunately, we have to do this, because I think it's obscene for people to say, I don't want to get up and speak, even though I have something to say. That's not the way it ought to be.
Thank you. Motion on the resolution.
Motion.
There's a second.
Second.
May I have roll call? Oh, hold on. Take your time.
So, I guess I'm okay with it. I'm just wondering, you know, I hate doing that. Does it give too much, like who determines, how do I determine one speaker's rude versus another? So let's say if I'm the presiding officer, someone's getting up to speak who I agree with, will they get more latitude and vice versa? And then am I going to have to give someone who's negative about what the topic may be? Do I, you know what I'm saying? So, because already in village law, or New York State NICOM handbook, there's a little bit of meeting procedure stuff. It basically spells out who the presiding officer is, which we kind of do that in 1 and 2. Quorum requirements, what a meeting's defined on, public body. So I guess I'm okay with it as long as it's just, I mean, no one else, everyone else is good with it?
No.
Oh, alright. Okay, rock and roll.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Gary?
Second.
Yeah.
Second. Okay, Matt, roll call.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Albert?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yeah, yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor D'Onofrio?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you so much. And for the rest of this meeting, I will appoint at this moment Trustee Howard to be the presiding officer.
And Trustee Alvarez, deputy mayor.
He's also the deputy mayor,
So,
which doesn't have to be.
right, you can appoint someone.
Okay.
If you were not there, here, then Trustee Alvarez would be the presiding
That's
officer.
correct.
If he wasn't there, then
That's
he
correct.
would remain
Right.
appoint someone.
Correct.
I
Thank you.
would simply suggest then that you publish this to the website so that, I would just suggest that you publish this to the website so that people are aware of it. I mean, on the back of the agenda, you already have
Right.
some of the rules that were incorporated.
Yeah. Jeannie, you have that
Yes.
for the website? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on, thank you, Brian. Next on the agenda is, I don't see Chris here, but Senior Citizen Center,
You also have another resolution on there?
I'm sorry.
The fire department's resolution was before that?
Oh, okay. All right, there's a resolution authorizing the participation in the Orange County Fire Mutual Aid Plan. This is a yearly document and approval, if it passes, for us to join mutual aid, and of course we would want to. This information came from the fire chief for us to enact tonight.
I'll make a motion, the Village of Holland Falls Board of Trustees pass a resolution authorizing the participation in Orange County Fire Mutual Aid Plan. Whatever you want it.
Correct. Is that okay? May I, do I have a second?
Second.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Alward?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor Denofrio?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is that I am looking for authorization to sign the approval with Bog Meadow Reservoir Dam and the Holland Falls Number 2 Dam Engineering Assessment Report prepared by Schumacher Engineering, Consulting Engineering. That's what they do dam inspections, as reviewed and recommended by the village engineer Todd Atkinson.
I'm sorry, did we get that? The assessment report? Is it in here?
It's not in your packet, it's pretty, large documents, I didn't make copies of it all, I have them to provide you, if you want it by email.
I see. Okay.
There's a hard copy downstairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, Todd reviewed them.
There's 2 studies were done, upper Bog and lower Bog.
Is there a summary of what that assessment said?
I do not have that in your packet, it would be in the document itself, there is a summary. Todd found no issues with their report,
Yes.
and he needs it approved in order for that to go to the state, because we need to get it up there on the state level.
Pronto.
for the
Oh, I see.
EAP plan and all. So it's kind of imperative to get it approved, to get it back up to the state so they can now have the document.
Okay, it's a first step so that we can do the further, the next step.
And the work can get done or evaluated as to what needs to be done.
I'll make a motion.
Motion second,
Second.
seconded by Brian, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Opposed?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Let's go back to the Senior Citizen Center. Chris wanted to have a Halloween party the end of the month and invite not only seniors but other folks of any age, including children. It kind of raised an issue, lack of word, an issue, it's really not an issue, but insurance. And so, for the record, if the board agrees, if we could approve the Halloween party sponsored by the Highlanders pending insurance, and we have a couple of possibilities to help them with insurance, which would take between now and the next meeting, and if we approve this, they can move forward with their plans. One way or another, we'll get them insurance. So if we could approve this pending insurance, because again, I think it was October 30th they wanted to have their party.
Yes.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second pending on insurance.
Correct. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is to authorize the mayor to sign the Central Hudson payment agreement for $270,000 for asphalt restoration. So just to go a little further with that, we all know Central Hudson's been around. I don't know any road that they haven't been. It's been inconvenient, I know. But they're through now, they're done. A little restoration work. But for the public to know, there were different parts to this, different sets of streets. And the village has received $130,000 from Central Hudson, which we have put towards doing streets. There was another amount months or weeks later that I negotiated for $110,000. So we have received $240,000 so far. Maybe September 22, I have a letter here written by Central Hudson. Another negotiating meeting I had the village engineer with me downstairs in Central Hudson, and they came in with $118,000 for restoration with this last group of streets they did. Negotiations, as everyone knows in this room, is people going back and forth, talking. And so they're $118,000. I'm very proud to tell you all, when I was done, went to $270,000. So this is a letter, the motion here, I would need a motion to sign this letter agreeing to the $270,000. Again, they came in the door that day with $118 in their pocket. So that would be the motion I need tonight.
Motion.
Motion by Brian, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. So all this money will go towards paving. Cooks Lane, Fostoria, Dale Avenue, Eagle Valley Road, Church Street, Hickory Street, Maple Avenue, Webb Lane, Catherine Street, Liberty Street, Muller Avenue, Upper Mearns Avenue, Sweezy Avenue, Bernard Place, Elm, School Street, lot number 2, for them having that as a staging area. They're paving the whole thing, that was negotiated. In, did I say Dale? I know Dale Avenue, if I didn't, yes, it's right up here. And Glen Road is, I did not say. So all those streets are going to get done, will be done this month. We also have CHIPS money that we get from the state, and some other money we get to the state for roads. That amount will go towards paving along with Central Hudson's 270. And I think this is important for the public to also know. Whenever a road was opened up, whether it was for the whole road, meaning a main that went down the road, or an individual house service, a permit fee, we charge a permit fee that Central Hudson has to pay. And I thought I had it in front of me, but I think I'm safe to say that we've taken in Gina, am I right if I say, for some reason I'm thinking 188?
It's definitely over 100,000.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of money. that I want the public to know that we charge Central Hudson. So yes, it's inconvenient, but we are getting money from Central Hudson, quite a bit of money, which will pay for all these streets. Thank you. All right, next. I would like to have authorization from the board to have the village attorney, Elise Terhune, here, that represents us at all our meetings, to represent the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees in the matter of Copal versus the Village of Highland Falls, New York. The village board and Verizon Wireless of the East PA Verizon Wireless. So Ms. Copal is suing everyone because we want to put some antennas on the roof to make cell phone service better. This is America, but we need to be represented. And also, our insurance carrier will pay into the cost of legal fees $10,000. So I'm glad about that. So may I have a motion that we are represented by the village attorney in this matter?
So
Mr.
moved.
Mayor,
Well,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, just qualify that at the rate that is included
Oh.
in my retainer.
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
I'll
There-
move it as amended by the village attorney.
Thank you, Elise. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brian, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Going back to the streets, the next thing on the agenda is Donegal. That's a good Irish firm. Who's Irish in here? They've been here and did work the last time, did all the milling of our streets. We take up the old street and put down a new street. So we need to approve them. We're hoping to get this started next week, milling. Oh, here it is.
We still get rid of another one, but,
Our engineer, myself, and John Jones are working very hard to, great question, working very hard to have the millings dumped local, which saves money. We've done that before, and we're going to do it again. So yes. Motion to bring on Donegal to mill our streets that we're going to pave.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Continuing with streets, ward paving proposal for various streets in the fall of 2021. You have that before you. The cost with Donegal, who will mill all the streets, ward paving's proposal. And by the way, they kept the same prices they gave us last year. Not too many companies do that. And the engineering cost is $446,757. Right under that, you'll see we have from New York State $118,000, Central Hudson $270,000, and the part of the permit fee, if we take 60 from it, adds up to $448. So for those that want to know where the money's coming from, this is a good news story. May I have a motion to approve ward paving's cost for paving?
I had a quick question about this pavings that we're doing. Are we gonna time it and synchronize it with the On the Aura, Cragston, Satterley, water main, sewer projects? So that we don't have to do that.
On
more than
Satterley,
once?
I don't know that we're doing anything. It was on the Aura in Cragston. And no, as you know, because it's been said here by our engineer, that storm drainage and water line is next year in Ondiora. The only
Right.
thing that might possibly be done this year is lining the sewer in Ondiora.
And none of the rules
None of the
that,
rules.
Yeah,
none of the
these
rules, yeah, they
they're
don't
not-
touch any of those sections of
Right.
town.
Right, that's the question.
May I have a motion to approve ward paving proposal?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last thing to do with streets on the agenda will be to approve the engineering of John Robert Fulchetti and Associates for the project.
Motion?
Second,
I'll second his motion.
all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have an engagement letter from Nugent Hausler, dated May 31, 2021, for audit services not to exceed $23,000. It's our annual audit. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Gotta do it. It's like going to the dentist.
Second.
Gotta have an audit.
Second.
Second.
Second by Brian Howard, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried, unanimous.
He did say he's not easy.
Next, we have on the agenda, Town of Highlands would like to have a trunk or treat at Roll Park Pavilion on Sunday, October 31, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. There's insurance here, and they're all set.
I'll make a motion, we approve the trunk or treat.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brian, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I apologize, but I take this down, my glasses get fogged up. Someone should invent something. They'd make $1 million.
They do.
They have one?
They have a mask with a little first. They're more expensive.
I'm not fine. All right, I have bills and claims for fiscal year 2021, 2022, $351,745.22. Now, something I started at the last meeting, I pick out the top 5 or 6 high ones. Eventus Construction, which is work down at the wastewater treatment plant, the sewer plant, $190,117.56. But I will also tell you that this is covered by the fire insurance, so while it's our bill, we get it from the insurance company. So it'll be put back into the budget. We have $70,728 that'll go to Joseph E. Masterani. He's the contractor who does our Section 8 work, and that also is a reimbursement from HUD. We have one here for $28,392.42. That's a lease, the lease agreement that we engaged in for 2 police cars. We have here $2,883.75 for the comp plan, update our comprehensive plan. Good news there is we had acquired a grant, and so that'll be a reimbursement. So those are some of the top numbers.
I'll make a motion and we pay the bills and claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chris, I went.
I was at an ambulance.
No, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, I took care of it. So, the motion, would you read the motion for Chris?
Trustee DeSalvo motion to approve the request for a Halloween party at the senior center on October 30th. Pending insurance is provided before the event, but first the board said they would work with you to get that insurance.
Yeah.
The board will work with you, Trustee DeSalvo will work with you to get that insurance.
I may have somebody that,
Go with it,
Your
Chris,
event is approved.
go with it.
just give me a couple days. I'll call you.
Okay, as long as the Highlanders aren't paying for it.
No, that's my point. Yes,
Okay.
I'll be in touch.
But I still have information, I'd still like public comment maybe.
Go ahead.
Chris Burns, Fort Montgomery.
Get up here to the mic, please. Please.
Chris Burns, Fort Montgomery. I'm the president of the Highlanders Senior Club. And as we've been going along, I open for everybody. I mean, ever since I became president, we closed for COVID and came back. Every meeting, it's been, we have to utilize this building more. We have to use it more. We have a situation where the town of Highlands Senior Recreation Department basically refuses to use the building for whatever reason. And I mean, Joe comes to the meetings, we beat each other, we sing to the choir, we need to use it more, use it more, use it more. So, we decided, the Highlanders decided, we're not gonna fight with the town rec, senior rec anymore. We're gonna start doing stuff on our own, have parties, do this, do that. And right here, we want to have a Halloween party. Nobody in the history of the Highlanders has ever had to pay for insurance. So Joe, at that point, he said, oh, the grant's over in 5 years, we can have a community center. We put the community center, the Highlanders jumped on it. Yes, make it a community center, let the kids come in. Nope. County came down, told Joe, take the sign down. Then it was 7 years. After 7 years, we can use it. Nope. At the last meeting, Joe said, hey, I just got an email from Community Development Block Grant lady.
From HUD.
From HUD and lady Nicole Anderson.
She's Community Development Block.
So I took and foiled the email. Gina gave me the email. I did some research on it, and it's just like any government thing. They explain things by using stuff that's unexplained. Just go see section 580.320, and you pull that up, and it doesn't tell you anything. Other than, at one point, I wrote her, my email to her is on the back of that, if you want to look at it. And I thought that she wasn't going to get back to me, but I got an email this afternoon. And thank God, because I was going to come up here and try to ad-lib everything. But as she states, and I'll jump around a little bit, the only way we can use that building for anything other than senior center is if we pay HUD back $375,000. That's in the email.
Yeah.
That's not me, that's her.
No, I know this.
And I mean, I went and said, well, this one section says, if you're low to moderate income, that's a reason to ask HUD to modify the grant. And I mean, we have 3 food pantries, and we have probably 75% of the kids in school getting free lunch or reduced price lunch. But apparently, the town of Highlands has no low to mod income blocks. So we can't use it. And then she says, she thought that the Halloween party could be allowed based on party benefiting seniors as a way to celebrate, get together with their friends and families, and reconnect as senior centers open back up after COVID. Grandparents enjoying introducing their children and grandchildren to their friends. This could be a wonderful, fun, intergenerational event benefiting the seniors as they dress up in costumes and see the dressed up in costumes in a safe environment. So according to Community Development Block Grant, we can use it. But the other thing that came up is that the only thing the seniors could use, only seniors, it's not even allowed to be used for government. There's no meetings there. There's no public hearings there. There's nothing, and this is right from Nicole's mouth. So I just wanted to bring that down, So
Chris, and I appreciate you saying that we've been working on this for a very long time, probably at least 2 years. A year plus of that was during COVID, but we still never stopped talking about it. everything that I've told you and everything, the same information I've told the Highlanders almost at every meeting, because you're right, we've been talking about this at every meeting, is accurate. Of course it would be, if I'm saying it and I'm telling you it's accurate, and it was. So the bottom line tonight from this discussion is it looks like we can have I've had Halloween parties there for seniors, you know, so we can do that, as you said. Sometimes when you open up the can of worms, they become snakes, and now the can of snakes is that we can't even meet there, according to what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay, that the food pantry can't be there.
that's right.
And none of that do I like. So it seems like every time we contact Community Development Block Grant, and maybe they don't know the answer, which that can always happen, they have their bosses where the money comes from, which is Washington DC, which is HUD. They call HUD up, and HUD tells them the answer, and every time we get an answer to any of our questions, it's more restrictive. Every single time, it's been more restrictive. You said it. I was once told 5 years from when we got the grant, that we could open it up. And then it actually went to 10, not 7. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And then it went in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Her exact words.
I didn't read it, but for me, I now, and this has nothing necessarily to do with the seniors, but I now have to talk to someone that we're allowed to use it for special occasions. Special occasions to me means public hearings, where because of COVID, there's more room than this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have our meeting, we would have it here, okay? It's for larger gatherings when we have to have a meeting of that sort. But in the meantime, let's have I know this is off the record, but let's have our Halloween party for seniors. And that's all we can do.
Well, you know, it's almost like don't ask, don't tell, let's just,
Well, yeah, that's why I said the can of worms is a can of snakes. And then, I know you don't want to get into this, and I understand why, and I'll say it out loud, because you've been fighting this part for years. You have fought this part that I'm going to talk about much more than I have. I've fought it, but not like you have, and that's a credit to you. And that's,
And I've lost friends over it.
and that, you know, that's this community. We're upside down right now. It's okay. We'll turn back around. But the town, I mean, I'm preaching, there's one person that's in this choir, and that's you. No one else. I don't understand, and I never will, why all their efforts for seniors are put into the center, not the senior center, but the center across the street and down the block. I'm not getting it. I heard, like you heard, and I'm sorry I'm going on, I'll stop soon. I heard what you heard at the last meeting of our club that we love. We're going to be 50 years old in 2022. And we're going to have a celebration at the senior center. But I heard the seniors very upset, some of them. I don't want to go down to that center. I can't get up that step. You all know the concrete step down here by Ward and Hicks. It is good for all of you, but it's not good for the ones we're talking about.
well,
Number
they're a lot better
two,
than them steps coming up.
number two, Chris, listen. Number two, the other issue they have is parking. And they're right. You can't have these seniors who are 85, 90, and over and above parking on Main Street. So then what you're saying is, park in the parking lot and walk. It's wrong. It's wrong only because there's a better way. The better way is 2 words, senior center. Does anyone in here, I'm going to ask a question, does anyone in here think that senior citizen programs should not be held at the senior center? Okay.
Okay, well, that's.
So I'm preaching to the choir. You're the one-man choir. I'm with you. But we can't but the problem is we can't straighten this out.
I know, this is the whole new information, you know. I went on,
Don't call HUD no more, because it'll be worse the next time.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it is, and I'm gonna tell you, it's going to be 50 years old. I was not gonna be the first president to have to provide insurance for that building.
We don't have to provide insurance for the Highlanders, all right? That's under village. But if the Highlanders want to sponsor a party for kids, or let's give
maybe-
everyone that's 30 a party,
No, but you know,
we
maybe
do.
it doesn't cost the village anything to put a rider on. And maybe the village could offer the Highlanders maybe 15 times a year, we will cover a Highlander event.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Let's try to get, we're going to have a Halloween party.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if Jimmy can work something out, we're going to have a Halloween party with insurance where kids can come. That's what you want?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's it.
And that's what's gonna happen, you know, regardless. I mean, what's the worst case you're gonna do is arrest the president of the Highlanders for
No one's getting arrested.
trespassing
We do have, we have
a
to,
week before the dissolution vote? I don't think so.
No, no one's gonna get arrested.
Okay, thank you. Is that a promise?
Wow.
Okay.
And I'll just make one comment about the center. The center is not the enemy. The center provides excellent service, and they're not the enemy of the Highlanders or the senior center. The word was mentioned, a can of worms was opened. It was opened by certain people, and that actually, no, not you. You finally, you were trying to get to the bottom of this just now. That's why you called Nicole, right?
Well,
Okay. But the
Melanie,
can of
it got-
worms
it
was
got to
opened.
the
you
point-
called Nicole because of these emails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what you foiled.
The email that she sent you, there's gotta be, and then I checked into what that section was,
Right.
and we don't have no poor people in town.
Correct.
But then, it got to the point where every time I read the news of the Highlands, and what's happening in Cornwall, and what's happening for seniors in Highland Falls at the center, and then the little blurb, the Highlanders meet the third Tuesday of the month, with
Yes.
nothing. I just gave up the fight. And I wanted to make the Highlanders a more community service group, doing things, just having our senior meetings, doing our bingo, but movie nights for kids, and this and that and everything else. The underutilized building, underutilized seniors.
You're on the right track.
I want to put it together.
Don't get off the track. I know it's frustrating. I know. But stay on the track.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, I think the issue
Thank
is that there's too much political stuff being
Yeah.
handled using the senior center as the thing to fight
Well,
about.
the Highlander
Yeah.
is
It's not.
non-political. We
Correct.
don't want to be. Sometimes we get sucked into it.
That's
And that's
right.
why I'm here tonight, to get to the bottom, what we
You're
can
right.
do, what we can't
You're
do. And I mean,
You're right.
basically severely disabled, homeless persons, illiterate adults, AIDS, migrant workers, not the general public.
You're
What
right.
Nicole is saying, that I think what she said, even she said it to me, what Nicole is saying is that if it's for the benefit of the senior centers, you host a party, it's for your benefit, you're having a good time, there should be no issue.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you keep calling, if people keep calling her at, looking to open a can of worms.
Well, that's if you look at
then-
my email on the back, the first thing I did is apologize for bothering her.
And you're the only one, look, Chris, you're
And
the
I
only
know
one.
she's fed up.
I disagree with that a little bit, because you're the only one that's contacted her outside the village. So, I don't know what that means, but thank you, okay? We're working on it.
Okay. very
Thank
good.
you very much, Chris. Board comment.
Chris,
Go ahead.
Chris, as president of the board of the center, we have opened up those trips for Highlanders, for Fort Montgomery, and for here. It's not an idea of isolating any senior citizens.
Oh, no, I realize that.
And I just wanted to make it clear.
Yeah.
That's all.
Board comment, go ahead.
All right, I'll start. Yeah, tonight there was a resolution that's quite appropriate for what I was going to talk about. It's a resolution about the conduct of citizens in a public forum like this. And we just approved it, and I think it's a great resolution to have. And it does apply to what I want to talk about. And what I wanted to talk about is that early Sunday, about 36 hours ago, between midnight and probably 7 o'clock in the morning, there were 20 signs and a large banner that was stolen. I know everybody's seeing a lot of signs out there, but these 20 signs in particular, the only thing they said is unity, one community. They had a very benign, friendly message. Vote yes, unity, community. No other signs were stolen, just those signs. And those signs were located up on Mountain Avenue, and most of them were actually in the perimeter of the municipal lot where we have our Sunday farmers market. So the Sunday farmers market, if I'm sure everybody has been to it, it's fantastic. It's one of the things that I really love about Highland Falls. It's run by a nonprofit organization, The Vision, community volunteers. They run on donations, profits from the farmers market. None of the money that's expended for the farmers market come from the village taxpayers. It's not a single penny comes from the budget. So it really is the heart of Highland Falls. It's a wonderful activity. And they have it right there at Municipal Lot B, Parking B, I think is what it's called. But it's shameful because a crime was committed there, larceny, just a couple of hours before they actually opened on Sunday. And that takes away from something so good. It's in front of 2 churches, it's a farmer's market, and somebody committed a crime just because they disagreed with the signs that they're seeing. That is really a very benign message of unity and one community. The good thing about this is that there's a lot of cameras that actually overlook that lot. And there's cameras from the West Point side, and there's cameras from the Highland Falls side. So it's in all directions, directly where the signs were, to the right of the signs, to the left of the signs, to the other side of the signs. So we've actually filed 2 police reports. We actually even filed one with West Point because they have cameras right there where the tank is, and it overlooks that site, and also with the Highland Falls Police. And I really want to thank Officer Vecchio and Officer Ripa for a Sunday. It's a Sunday, and they took our statements. They were very friendly, and we promptly talked to them because we didn't want any of those videos recorded over. I also talked to Sergeant Detective Cleveno this morning, and he said he hasn't looked at the videos, but he assured us that he was going to look at those videos and hopefully have a resolution and find the criminal who stole all those signs. It brings me to my next point, which is really the November 8th referendum. And that's what the signs were about. We only have 5 weeks before the vote. And it's really about hearing the opinions of both sides. We need to educate ourselves before we vote for it. And this is democracy at work, right? I was in the Army for 20 years. I fought for democracy. I went to Iraq because I was fighting for democracy, right? So we come here and we have to fight for democracy, right? And we're debating this issue that is really so fundamental to our values. And we shouldn't steal other people's voices. The outcome of the November 8th referendum is not up to us. This 5-person board, we've taken it away from me, we've taken it away from the mayor, we've taken it away from Trustee Aylward, Trustee DeSalvo, Trustee Phillips. We've given it to you. You're the 2,388 registered voters here in Highland Falls. We've given that to you. You're going to vote on it. So you have to have a discussion. And it shouldn't be angry discussion. Both sides are trying to give facts as they know it, as they believe it. And we shouldn't steal that voice from them. And that voice comes in the form of speaking, in the form of a forum like this, in the form of a sign. And when you steal somebody else's sign, you're stealing their voice. And that's not democracy. That's all I have.
Speaking of Officer Ripa, my wife came back from the post office and she was speaking to the neighbors and added on to my honey-do list to go down and talk to the neighbor. And apparently, what happened was the neighbors had an incident at 6:30 in the morning, someone pounding on their door, let me in, and the husband screaming, don't open the door, we don't know who it is. So I went down and I said, you called the police, right? No, we didn't. I said, well, they don't investigate things unless you call them. And then the rumors start, well, no one did anything about it. If you'll allow me, I'll stay here with you by your house and call the police. So Officer Ripa came down, did a great job, calmed everybody down, and then notified the husband and wife that the person had already been caught that morning. So the reason I'm telling you this story is, if something's going on, you need to report it to the police. If you don't, they can't investigate it. It's not that they don't want to investigate it, they don't know about it. So please, if something's going on in your community, your neighborhood, please let the police know.
Thank you.
Now, one more.
Okay.
I got rules for leaves and limbs. Don't put them out with your trash, and if you are gonna put them out, please tie them up. Someone came to the house knocking on the door about they couldn't get by the road because all the trees were in the road. So please bundle them up. Gina, do we have that on the website about the rules
I
for?
believe in the DPW section, there's,
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that. The same if you're gonna put a refrigerator out or furniture, please call the town. People are calling me saying, they didn't pick it up. I said, well, it's trash day. They can't fit dressers and refrigerators in there. Please call the town so that we can provide you a service. Thank you.
Aaron?
Yes, just a couple of things. Everybody noticed that they had, thank you, I'm loud enough. But they, I don't want to hurt your ears back there, Cindy. That we had fire hydrant flushing. It's going to continue tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be done by Wednesday. And then Fort Montgomery will be doing the same. So some might get brown water. I didn't get any brown water, so just FYI about that. Just to update, Bog Meadow reservoir is totally capacity filled to the gills, which is really good. I mean, and we had quite a bit of rain for that, which helped out. And we had a lot of people being very conscientious this year. I was really surprised how a lot of people were, and I brought it up last time, it's not like a broken record, but watering their garden, early in the morning at night, and I've seen rain barrels, and it's quite a bit of, helps out quite a bit for our environment, which is really good. I want to give a special thank you to Stephen Lamb. He put this sign up there. We had a sign up there for Charlie Littlejohn with a ceremony about a month or so ago that passed away. Stephen Lamb put a post out there, and he raised it up off the ground and put it up a little bit higher by the tree. It looks really nice, so I just want to say thank you to him. I just want to comment on Trustee Grau's comment. Yes, the signs, we all been through it when I ran for town board and when I ran for village, taking signs. It's not your property. Leave them alone. It's not, no matter if you agree or don't agree. Some things I don't agree with, but I don't agree with messing with somebody else's property. It's not the right thing to do. I mean, it's not. You don't need to be touching it. I mean, technically, you can't even touch somebody else's sign, when they fell down, because, so it's illegal. I did it for people in the past. I don't care if it's illegal or not, and I was running against them, so it looks like crap when it's laying down. I just, like the community, make it look decent. And the other thing on Brian's thing, with the police department, like Brian said, call them. I mean, and I get a text at 12 o'clock at night saying, hey, can you call the police because there's a noise complaint 3 houses down from me? And I'm like, well, I can't hear, but I get noise, but they can call, and they will respond to even little things as a noise complaint, and because there is a noise ordinance and loud music. So we have a community here that at all of our services between police department and the ambulance corps, the fire department, the village trustees, we're here for you guys. So please, use us. That's what we're here for. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, just real quick, it has been said to me by some village employees, some village residents, you know, as we get closer to the dissolution vote, I think tensions, this is what I've heard, you know, tensions are going to continue to get high. You know, they're the yes versus the no. And, you know, the signs going missing is not surprising. You know, we've all up here run for office. Some of us one or two times, some of us a few times. And we always have signs go missing. So I understand the frustration for sure. But I don't think anyone is up here or at any time, or whether it's the village or the town, is trying to take anybody's democracy away. The state of New York passed the law for consolidation and dissolution. The state of New York has empowered the folks of the citizens of New York to be able to bring forth a petition for dissolution or consolidation. The one that was brought forth was dissolution. We've talked about it up here before, how there's a difference. So that could be a reason why tensions run a little high. I think also tensions run a little high too because there's been information put out, and we say in one context that we want to try to be, well, it's the best facts we know, but that doesn't mean they're facts, just because it's the best ones you know. I go back to the simple one of saying, well, the village has $8 million on the books in debt, which is inaccurate. Not because Jimmy DeSalvo says so, but because we had a professional here. So things like that can create situations where tensions get high. Or if we're at a meeting and we say, you know, the village board levies $7.4 million in local taxes. Well, that's not right either. And that could be a reason why tensions can get a little high. I don't want to see signs be taken. I don't want to see tensions get high. So while there's a responsibility to us, because we're actually elected folks up here, please have some responsibility for folks in the audience and at home and wherever information is put out. Think about it before you put it on paper and mail it out. Think about who you may hurt. Think about what you may start. Think about if it's an actual fact and not close to what we think is a fact. Or someone told me who knows. Make sure it's an actual, real fact. And that way, when you do put out your information, if it's the right stuff, then the voters will go with it. You don't have to hide behind anything. That's why some people keep coming back to church, because they appreciate the message. So if your message is right, that's how you sell the good. So I understand your frustration. I appreciate your service, but I don't think there's no attack on democracy in the town of Highlands. There definitely is an attack on democracy in the village of Highland Falls. I think the voters in this community are very intelligent, and I trust them immensely, whether I get elected or I don't get elected. You have to accept the outcome sometimes. And I hope that we all accept the outcome on the 8th, whether we're up here, whether in the audience, whether we have a unity sign in our yard, or we have a vote no sign in our yard. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to hold my comments. I will come back to my comments in a minute. I'll take public comment. Any public comment? Yes.
Edward Falls, Highland Falls. I disagree with Trustee DeSalvo. I don't think we should downplay vandalism and mob mentality with regards to a democratic election. I think it's an affront to democracy. I think there are a lot of people in this village who have actually traveled to foreign countries and risked their lives, taken bullets, been in explosions, while other people sat here at Highland Falls and enjoyed the democracy. You know, other people have fought for the ability to bring these kind of choices to their communities and to the society, and paid a dear price for it. I think it's more serious than being downplayed here on the board. Thank you.
Do I have to go there? Okay.
I know.
I wrote it down, so I'll be fast.
Sorry, take your time, please.
We have seen the signs out, vote yes, no. November 8th. I would encourage everybody to just go to the village website and inform yourself about what's at stake. There's a LaBerge study that has been talked about, but I didn't read it until this week. And it did help me understand the difference between consolidation and dissolution. Someone I was with worried that the study might be biased, but as I read through just the question and answer tab, just to simplify the information that's put out, a lot of the questions were questions that I had, and they were answered with a simple no, and here's why, or yes, and here's why. And I didn't find it biased one way or another. In fact, one of the questions was, you know, can you advise us? What's the best thing to do? And the answer was, no, we cannot advise you. We can present to you what the facts are. You have to decide. So I think it's a good idea for everybody just to educate yourself, learn, get an understanding for yourself. And November 8th is the vote. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
How's it going, everybody? So,
Name?
my name is Richard Santiago. I work for the Village of Highland Falls Police Department. I'm a proud police officer of this village for a little over 3 years now. I hold 1 citation for a large seizure of narcotics on a traffic stop, 1 award in reference to saving lives with the use of Narcan, and numerous instances where I save villagers, whether drug-related or medical. This also goes for the same for the men and women who I work with. We give our heart and soul to this village just for us to be wiped off the map over an excuse of reducing taxes by a small percentage. I'm sure you're aware now, Town of Highlands PD is a part-time agency only, meaning the full-time men and women will lose their jobs with no guarantees of employment. On November 8th, if the vote is yes, what are our options to make sure that the men and women who lose our job have food and shelter for their families? Will there be a way for these men and women to pay for their car payments or medical bills? I already know the answer to that, it's no. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the primary goal of a small group of individuals to dismantle the police department. This is not to save money. This mostly appears to be anti-police rhetoric. We risk our lives each day to ensure you sleep good at night while you're at home watching TV, reading a book, eating dinner with your family. The village police are out on domestics, vehicle accidents, medical calls, and occasions dealing with life and death situations. People in this room will say the village of Highland Falls is a safe community. This is all in part to the police department and the men and women who do their job 24/7, 365 days a year. We are highly trained professionals who risk our lives for this community every day, just to be told that the possibility of our jobs in the hands of a small group. I ask you all to vote no to the dissolution November 8th, not only to ensure our jobs are safe, but to ensure the village people are confident they have a police agency that are keeping them safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else wants to speak? Next.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. As part of my, I'm Tony Palella, I live at 24 Regina Road, Highland Falls, New York. As part of my decision-making process for the upcoming vote, I was wondering if is it possible, or may have been done already, but to post the studies that have been done to show that if services are combined between the town, the civilian part of the town and the village, that what the savings are and how the village savings taxes would go down and maybe our town part of our tax would go up, because if those services are combined, there's a lot more for the town to do. Okay, that's number one. Number two, is it possible to post a value for our water treatment plant, our sewage treatment plant, and Bog Meadow and its watershed, so that if we do vote to dissolve the village, how is that value transferred to the township, or is it going to be sold to the township? And how do the villagers benefit from that transfer, since all those assets have been paid by the villagers over the last 100 years or so?
So, Anthony, that's a good question, and If the vote is yes, we'll bring in, the plan is to bring in an assessor. That will, like when you have your own home assessed. I assume it might be a special assessor, I don't know. Never done it before. But this building will have to be assessed, the water plant, the sewer plant, the highway, the DPW garage. All the assets of the village will have to be assessed and then be sold. So, yeah.
Sold to the township.
If the town wants to buy it.
Okay.
It's not gonna be a giveaway program.
Okay, sounds good. And so if it's not sold to the township, how are those assets like, going to be transferred?
You could have someone buy this for apartments.
How about like, the watershed at Bog Meadow? A little bit more complicated.
That's a great comment. It's a little bit more complicated.
Right, I mean,
We have,
you think of how, if a town went out and tried to secure a watershed of that size, probably, hundreds of millions of dollars to secure it, build a dam, provide, the infrastructure to deliver that water. And so how are the villagers compensated for that? I mean, these are some of the questions that, it would be really great to see these posted before the election so that I can make a better decision.
they will be.
Okay, thank you.
They will be.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would just note that anyone can go on that website and post that question. If you have questions.
Actually, it's a great question, and someone did.
Oh,
And
okay.
tonight I'm reading several answers to several questions or comments that were made tonight. Karen, I'm sorry, I'm looking at you because I am going to read on what came off the LaBerge website that you saw. I'm going to give the question for word and the answer word for word. I'm going to do that tonight. I did it at the last meeting, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Yes. Go ahead.
Cindy Modlin, village resident. I think it's great. I think all the information that we're getting from all of these different studies, and it's all great information. I think another thing we should also get information from are the town and village meetings. I think more people coming, this is really good. I think that also go back, look at the budget meetings from last summer. We're talking about the $8 million debt. That was a statement made by our treasurer. So I think we need to be aware of that. That's where that number came from. Thank you.
Wait a minute. So I'm going to answer that because, to be honest with you, let me turn this on. I'm going to answer that. I am sick and tired of the village treasurer being swatted around like he's a bug. All right? If he made that comment, he was incorrect in his words. His words. There's no one in this room can show me or anyone else up here. You can shake your head all you want. You can shake your head all you want. No one can show me where the village is in debt for $8 million. It's just not true. And if the treasurer said it, he misspoke or he used the wrong word. So let's not swat the treasurer around anymore. He's a human being. Thank you. Who else? Go ahead, Joe. Thank you.
Hi everybody, Joe DeWitt, Village of Highland Falls. I saw the 60 Minutes excerpts about the whistleblower from Facebook. The bottom line is, it was about how they direct people's searches towards misinformation and hate, because it better titillates the viewer. And they scroll more, and thus Facebook earns more revenue. I'm feeling this is one of the unfortunate cancers in our society, and I think we're seeing it now in our community. I want to put the discussion of disillusion aside for a second and talk about the art of campaigning and hate. The anti-disillusion people responsible for the banners, I'm going to ban everybody, should not sell their position with the name-calling, especially haters. Crazy I can handle, disgusting not so much, but now haters. Frankly, I find the new banners shameful and unfair. And to add to this, as was mentioned, the theft of our voices, the voices of the people, of pro-dissolution banners and signs is equally shameful and undemocratic. Quick story about hate. Years ago, I was part of a news team covering the elections in Iran. We were at a stadium where there was a big rally going on and big chanting going on, and I looked at my interpreter and go, "What are they chanting?" And he said, "I don't want to tell you." I said, "Please." And the answer was, "Death to Americans." And I was like, "Do we have to leave?" And he said, "No." But that's hate. And that's hate that we face from people in other countries, especially like Iran. That's the definition of hate. We all live in this community, and regardless of the vote outcome, we still have to live with each other. Differences of opinion and ideas don't make any of us haters. Senseless name-calling, labeling, and throwing each other under the bus does. Maybe dissolution is a bad idea. Maybe dissolution is a good idea. Democracy will soon speak, and hopefully loud with good ideas that we can all be a better community together. Thank you.
My name is Suzanne Brown. I live in Highland Falls. I'm going to try to keep this calm if I can. I'm not sure where to start. I haven't been too involved for a few years in much of anything. I've been busy at home. But when I drove down the street and saw myself referred to on a sign as a hater, my hair stood up. And I thought, well, that's a fine thank you for the number of years I killed myself to do some good things for this community. I'm not the only one who's speaking, not for just myself, for a number of people who volunteer, some who get paid, to beautify, to bring culture, to bring help, to bring food, to bring care, to bring environmental awareness, all kinds of things. I don't view the vote on November 8th as a final word. I've only just begun to think about it, start to look at it. It's been discussed for 30 years. People used to come to the library all the time and go back upstairs and look at the old master plans and all the things I wanted to read from 20 years ago and 30 years ago and all that stuff. And it's been banged around for a long time. The vote on November 8th is nothing. So, okay, so we get a yes. We get yes, dissolution. That is not the end of anything. That is not the end of a police department. My son is a deputy sheriff, okay? I'm not anti-police or anti-law enforcement. I'm not anti-young people getting jobs. I think they should be paid for what they do. And they should be able to move forward in their careers. But the young man I spoke to a couple of weeks ago said, we've just got to get the plan going. We can't even get to the point of planning until we first have a vote that says, make a plan. If the vote is no, there's no study. That's it, it's done. First time in the history of this village that they would actually have time to study and say, oh, here, look at this. Oh, we didn't know that. Oh, this is a negative. Oh, this is a positive. This might be a real good avenue. Oh, no, it's dead in the water already. Haven't even gotten that far. Can't get that far until we get a vote that says, yes, let's study it. Might be a really new, broad way of looking at things. I am telling you how offended as a board I am being called a hater. I'm sorry. I think it takes it right back to the very first resolution that you made a big deal about at the very beginning of this meeting. And if you cannot take it upon yourselves to have those banners that say hater on them taken down, I'm ashamed of you as a board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Who else wants to speak tonight? One, two. Okay, one. No, you go first. 1, 2, and then I have some comments, and then we'll end it.
Michael Joyce, 12 Eagle Valley Road. Doing this type of stuff of taking down banners and scarfing, it is an attack on democracy. I was in Lebanon. I was in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan. Those people in Iraq and Afghanistan would love to have a system like we have. They lived in fear,
dread of somebody knocking on the door. It's shameful that people here think they could do that and get away with it. As for the debt that the village has incurred, maybe the assets of the village, if the vote does go yes, and we join the town, can offset the debt. That's another way to look at it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Juliana. My last name is Palella by birth, but by marriage I'm a Connolly. I have two questions or ideas I just wanted to talk about tonight. The first thing is, if the vote is no for the village to dissolve, I'm wondering how that will affect our village traditions. We have a community that's very diverse. We celebrate together a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and we have a history of celebrating events like 4th of July all together, and that we often include like our town counterparts in those celebrations. And for me, growing up here, those are some of the things that make this community special and made me want to stay here and raise my family here. A lot of my peers, saw their futures elsewhere, and a lot of cadets, sometimes I hear them say, well, Highland Falls, what makes it so special? And these are the things that come to my mind. These are the things that make our community special. So that's something that I'm curious about going into the vote on November 8th. The other thing I wanted to know more about is if the vote is yes, kind of like my dad, I have questions about our water system. Our predecessors here had the foresight to obtain land for our water system. We fought the federal government in court to maintain our rights to that land to use for our water system. I'm just curious, if the vote is yes, how will our rights to that water be affected? How will that play out for us? Just from my understanding of the answers to my questions on the LaBerge website, it seems as though village residents will be obligated to continue paying for our predecessors' very forward-thinking investment in a water system. And, that's a kind of tax that I look forward to paying, because having a water system like ours that is so pure and beautiful, that's a rare thing, and that's very expensive and hard to come by, especially these days when you consider how much permitting it takes to not only operate a system like that, but to obtain one and start from scratch. So the last thing I'll say is I'd be interested to know when we dissolve, if we dissolve, would that water system still serve us for the years to come the way our predecessors intended it to do? Will we have plentiful water to sustain our population growth and our economic businesses and all the endeavors that we wish into the future? It seems, from what I'm hearing, the ownership will change if we dissolve, and I'm just kind of wondering what that means, because what we have is precious. Our water system, as an engineer, I think that way. Maybe not everyone in the community does, but water is precious. It's essential for any community to survive and thrive. It's the basis, one of the basic things that we need as humans to live. So I just view it as a very important issue.
I think we'll have the answers to those.
Okay.
They're great questions and extremely good concerns.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just
You got
will
it.
say, you look around the world, how many communities in Orange County have a water system like ours? And how many communities out there struggle politically, through war to have water.
Thank you very much. So just bear with me, I'm going to read these questions and answers, and you'll hear some of the things you brought up answered, and some of them not completely. The first one was not on the LaBerge page, but it was a question that I asked him. Anyone wants to foil this, you can. In fact, don't foil it. Ask me, I'll give it to you. The question I asked was to Ben. Ben is the gentleman who's doing the study for the Village of Highland Falls that you see on the village website, LaBerge. So my question was, hi Ben, this question, do you know of another town and village which dissolved into a town that has much smaller in population and less services? So his answer back to me was, do you mean has a village with a larger population dissolved into a town with a smaller one? I don't know of any offhand. That's his reply, along with all the communities I've worked with on disillusionment have smaller villages that dissolve into larger towns. It is not normal situation to have a larger village dissolved into a smaller town, especially since the larger village has the population needs, infrastructure, and density that is different than a town, i.e. water, sewer systems, different roads for plowing, and special events. So he even went down to special events, okay? So that was just a question I asked him, not on the website. Anyone wants this? I don't need your 25 cents for foil. Come in, I'll make you a copy. Okay, these are questions that are on the village website. I encourage everyone to go to the village website and look up these questions, and then even ask a question. Within a day or two, you'll have your answer. Question: are you going to present the pluses and minuses? This is number 35. Are you going to present the pluses and minuses of dissolution in your October draft plan? And are you going to show whether we save or lose money in disillusionment? Answer: we will provide an interim dissolution study and will provide information from which residents will decide the pros and the cons of dissolution. As mentioned at our initial meeting, it is not for the consulting team to determine that for the citizens of the village. So again, it's important we read the information. And the report should be out maybe by the end of this week, just to the board. And then questions will be, if any board member has questions, they'll give it back to the LaBerge company. And then right now, we're looking at maybe the third week in October, it being presented to the residents. Question: if the village is dissolved, what are the options that the village has with the Highland Falls Fire Department? That's another big concern. I love the two concerns that were brought up tonight, police and water, because that's where I'm at. My third would be sewer, wastewater, and fire. Those are four big ones. If the village is dissolved, what are the options that the village has with the Highland Falls Fire Department? Any options if the department the department has. I'm not quite sure what that doesn't make sense, but village owns trucks and equipment. The answer is there are a number of options that will be provided in the interim dissolution plan related to fire protection. In short, the town is required to provide for fire protection. However, that can be in the form of a fire protection district. That's what Fort Montgomery has now. They have a district. It's not like ours. Fire protection district or a fire department or a fire district. In both cases, the town or the district has the option to contract with the current fire company or another. As far as the trucks and equipment, the village can transfer ownership to the existing fire company or a district, or sell them outright to pay down village debt. Question, based on public discussions and comments on the provisions of police, it appears that the town would be providing 24/7 coverage with experienced, certified, credentialed, part-time police officers. Well, that's the law, they have to. That's actually the law, you can't just hire anyone off the street. If the village is dissolved, there would not be any full-time officers employed, and as such, all current village police officers would not have an opportunity for full-time work in the Town of Highlands Police Department. How can this be stated as fact when the town elections, including the supervisor's position, take place prior to the referendum vote? This whole thing with the calendar is mixed up, by the way. There's another point. With the LaBerge Group outlined other options and their associated costs for police coverage to the town should the village dissolve, i.e. mixed force, downsizing by attrition, and the role that the Highland Falls PBA will provide for its members after dissolution. Answer, the town of Highlands is not required to follow or abide by anything laid out in the interim or final disillusionment plan. So we're going to have an interim disillusionment plan, and if the vote is yes, we'll do a final plan. Both books, the town doesn't even have to accept anything that's in them. The town of Highlands is not required or abide by anything that's laid out in the interim disillusionment plan. All findings, conclusions, and future governance options set forth in the interim plan and the associated fiscal analysis are based on research and interviews conducted by village and town leadership and department heads. The LaBerge Group will not outline additional options and costs for police coverage, as this is not our scope or charge. The structure of the future police force has been detailed based on interviews and research with town staff and town leadership. Should the village and town wish to further research options and costs for the police coverage, that would be a different analysis or study. So what he's saying there is, and I think I'm correct, is the structure of the future police force has been detailed based on interviews and research. So this group that we hired has interviewed the supervisor, has interviewed the Fort Montgomery Town of Highlands Police Chief, and their plan is to have a part-time department, not a full-time department. That's public, that's out in the public. Don't take my word for it, it's in the public. It's at meetings, they've said it.
Part-time employees.
Will the final report include the following? A ballpark figure on the monetary savings for village residents. 2, the number of years it will take the residents to pay off the village debt. 3, any hidden costs the village residents will have to pay. Answer, the interim report will illustrate any potential tax savings or increases. 2, the number of years to pay off debt will not be detailed. There will be a note on how many years are left on current bond obligations. However, it is impossible to know what assets will be sold to lower the debt and consequently the number of years remaining. In addition, the Legacy District will be paying for the retirement benefits of former employees for an undetermined amount of time until they are no longer necessary. Hidden costs, by definition, I like this one, are hidden and unknown. However, the interim report does include an estimate of costs associated with the dissolution of the village and interim transition steps. It will cost the village taxpayers over $100,000 for the report, for the analysis, for the have the buildings assessed, on and on and on. We've kind of got that number, at least if I'm right, from other places that have done it. So it's a ballpark figure, but we've called other places, other villages, what did it cost?
There's grants available for
If the village dissolves, how will the taxpayers pay off the debt in the village? Will it be a surcharge or state taxes? Is that still considered a village tax? Answer. If the village were to dissolve, the town would create a special district along with boundaries of the former village. The legacy district would be assessed at a tax to cover outstanding debt. It would not be a village tax, as upon dissolution, there would be no village. It would be a special district, meaning the village, special district tax levy to recover, pay off outstanding debt. All properties in the former village would pay the tax. If the village is dissolved, who controls the land use in the village? Answer. Upon dissolution, the town would have the ability to alter, change, remove, amend control of all land in the former village. Question. I am hearing that if the village is dissolved, the state of New York will give the town money to lower taxes forever. Is that a guarantee? This has been misinformation out there. That's the question. Will the state, I am hearing that if the village is dissolved, the state of New York will give the town money to lower taxes forever. Is that a guarantee? Answer. The statute states that the CETC is in perpetuity. However, it has to be appropriated annually in the budget by the state in the same fashion as school aid, CHIPS, and aid to municipalities. If it isn't appropriated, the funds will not be there. Now, how many times have we, who've lived here for a long time, seen headlines in the newspaper about our state school tax being, state money coming to help our schools been diminished? Every year. Every year. So they can say it's a guarantee, but it's not a guarantee. They have to appropriate it every year. During COVID-19, the state reduced all aid by 20%. There you go. Including the CETC. The state did move forward with a 15% reimbursement, but has not yet made the municipality that receives the CETC whole. So when you hear about this just shy of $1 million coming to our community, you can hope it comes. Question, if the village is dissolved and the town owns the water plant, can the town sell outside the town? Answer, if the village were to dissolve, the town owns the water plant. They can choose to sell water outside the town to outside users or contract to provide water to other districts outside the town or expand to other districts inside the town. They also set the water rates. The town will set the water rates, and as such, the town rates can be lowered and the village rates can be increased. That's what it says. You have something? Question, if the village is dissolved and the town owns the water plant along with Bog Meadow water, can the town decide to extend water mains to open up development in the town? Answer, once the town owns the plant, the water assets, the town can approve whatever extensions and development they want to the capacity of the plant and the New York State permit. Question, by dissolving the village, will village residents be forfeiting their right to their current water system? Upon dissolution, infrastructure ownership, management, and maintenance would shift from the village to the town. The village will no longer own the asset. The town would create a water and sewer district to levy fees to cover the principal and interest, operating and maintenance, O&M, and water usage fees. No, I got a couple more. Please. By dissolving the village residents be forfeiting their rights to their current water system? So there's a lot about water because it's important to people. And I'm really happy it was important to you as a young person. Answer, upon disillusionment, infrastructure ownership, management, and maintenance would shift from the village to the town. The village would no longer own the asset. The town would create a water and sewer district to levy fees to cover the principal and interest, operation, and maintenance. A couple of these are almost identical, but they're short. Question. If the village is dissolved and the town owns the water plant, can the town sell water outside the town? Answer, once the town owns the water plant, they can choose to sell water outside the town and outside users. Question, if the village is dissolved and the town owns the water plant with the bog metal water, can the town decide to extend water mains to open up development in the town? Answer, once the town owns the plant and the water assets, the town can approve whatever extensions and development they want up to the capacity of the plant. Question, as a village resident, my taxes have paid for all the infrastructure improvements to our sewer plant and water plant. If the village is dissolved, does the town get the water and sewer plants that I have paid for? Who continues to pay off the debt? Answer, yes, if the village dissolved, then the town gets all the assets that the village residents have paid for, except for those that the village sells prior to the date of dissolution. All assets associated with the assets stay with the former residents, so all debt stays with the former residents, i.e. the village, and are levied by the town to a legacy district. So, those are direct questions and direct answers, and there's many more that I'll read at the next meeting, but the best thing to do is to go. There's questions from all over the place from different folks, and great answers. And I think a lot of this will be in the report. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Jim DeSalvo, seconded by Brian. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much and have a great